This is our time, the main news at this hour. I'm Katerina Nestorenko in the studio. Hello. Overnight into Saturday, Russia launched another combined strike on Ukraine. Missiles and drones targeted Kyiv and the regions, as well as a number of other areas. The attack was aimed at Ukraine's energy infrastructure. As a result of the strikes on Horishni Plavni in the Poltava region, the city is left without electricity, water, or heat. There is still no electricity in Kremenchuk either. Critical infrastructure facilities have been damaged in the Kirovohrad and Kharkiv regions. A fire broke out at an energy facility in Odessa. In Mykolaiv, industrial infrastructure was hit by drone strikes. There is damage to the railway in several regions. Naftogaz also reports attacks on gas infrastructure. Some damaged equipment was hit. One of the employees was injured. The number of victims and injured from the Russian attack on Dnipro has increased. There are now 3 dead and more than 10 wounded. At night, a Russian drone struck one of the city's apartment buildings. Natalia Husak, a correspondent for Freedom TV channel, is working at the scene of the shelling. Hello, Natasha. Please tell us what's happening. Just 15
minutes ago, rescuers recovered. And the second victim's body. Another person as well. Thus, at this moment, the number of people killed here has reached. But at least one more person is still being searched for, since they have not yet made contact. That's why emergency rescue operations are still ongoing here. How are the rescuers working at the site of the nighttime attack? Oh, the attack itself. Right now, there are children, parents, and rescuers here. These are very emotional moments, honestly, because there are a lot of people here with their pets. Many people really managed to find their belongings so that rescuers could help carry their pets out of the destroyed entrance. Their pets. And the attack itself, this terrifying, shocking attack on the city, started at midnight. There was a report that the pets would be 2 strike drones, and at least one of them hit this 9-story building. The impact hit around the 5th and 6th floors, and unfortunately, the stairwells in the building were immediately destroyed. Several apartments were completely destroyed, and a massive fire broke out. Local residents told us that when they left their apartments, they didn't see a single place to step with their feet. In other words, there were just holes underfoot, and many people had to be blocked off, rescued by emergency workers, and lowered out of the building. So, the residents told us how they survived, what they felt, and what happened to them. The explosion, suddenly,
was unbelievably powerful. The windows shattered and flew everywhere. What saved me was that I was turned the other way on the bed. I have a big bed. I was facing the other direction. Because of that, all those shards flew past but didn't hurt me. It was pure horror. There were screams right away. People were shouting, "Help arrives quickly." For the rescue workers, God bless them. They were saving people.
A fellow war veteran, already retired and discharged due to disability, lived in this building on the 5th floor with his family. His wife and their daughter is 2 years old. And then this tragedy happened. I found out at 7 in the morning. There's another comrade living nearby. He came and helped. They took the family, his wife and child, away. They managed to evacuate more or less in time. They only managed to grab their documents.
The second wave of the combined attack started around 1 in the morning, maybe a bit later. By then, various types of drones and missiles were already flying over the city. And as the locals say, all of this was exploding roughly in this area. People were very frightened. A rescue operation was already underway here, under the rubble. They were searching for victims and evacuating people. An old man was still trapped on the upper floors. So, really, the night was very difficult. Rescuers managed to evacuate 28 people from the building, 7 people, 20 people. Injuries. Some of them are currently in the hospital. As for the deceased, according to neighbors, there is definitely a married couple among them. They are around 50 years old. There is also another woman, but her age is still unknown. The rescue operation is still ongoing. They are trying to find another person who is not responding or hasn't made contact. All the emergency services are working here. People are being given assistance. They are processing documents and providing materials to cover up broken windows. And in fact, it wasn't just Dnipro that experienced a combined attack today, but the whole region as well. We know that. Near the city of Samara, a projectile also hit a private house. No casualties have been reported there. The fire was put out fairly quickly. So, the rescue operation is still ongoing here, and the number of injured and dead is being clarified. Well, that's what is known so far. A bit later, city officials already stated that, preliminarily, most likely, 2 entrances of this building will have to be demolished, since those 2 entrances sustained very serious damage. That's
What happened? There was a direct hit, presumably by a Shahid drone. Several apartments were destroyed. There was also a strike on an infrastructure facility. Right now, debris is still being cleared. The State Emergency Service of Ukraine is working at the scene. People from the damaged apartments have requested relocation. That's 1 person so far. There is the capacity to urgently relocate up to 120 people.
We continue to monitor the situation, and all the details for the affected building will be provided in the next update.
Thank you to Natalia, correspondent for Freedom TV channel. Natalia Husak was in touch with us from Dnipro. On the night before Saturday, Russian forces launched a massive attack on the Dnipropetrovsk region. In Dnipro, a high-rise building was damaged by a strike from a Russian drone. There were people killed and injured. Over 450 attack drones and 45 missiles of various types were launched by Russia at Ukraine last night. This was reported by the head of the Ukrainian state, Volodymyr Zelenskyy. He responded to the massive shelling of Ukraine and emphasized that the world must respond to Russian terror. Kyiv appreciates all the steps that partners have already taken, but the new Russian strikes show that pressure on the aggressor country must be increased, the president stressed.
There must definitely be a European decision regarding Russian frozen assets, as well as additional sanctions. Support and strengthening of Ukraine's defense. And for every strike by Moscow on the energy sector, with which they want to harm ordinary people before winter, there must be a sanctions response against all Russian energy without exceptions. So far, Russia's nuclear energy sector is not under sanctions, and the Russian military-industrial complex is still receiving Western microelectronics. There must also be greater pressure on oil and gas trade. We are counting on appropriate decisions from America, Europe, and the G7 countries. I thank everyone who is ready to help and act in order to protect life. Volodymyr Zelenskyy, President of Ukraine, on Telegram.
In Israel, the process of identifying the body of the hostage returned by Hamas today before has been completed. This was reported by the press service of the IDF. The deceased was Reserve Sergeant Major Lor Rudef. He died on the morning of November 7, 2023, the day when Hamas carried out its treacherous invasion of Israel. His body was abducted by the terrorist organization Islamic Jihad. Lor was 61 years old. He is survived by his wife, for children and grandchildren. To date, Hamas has handed over 22 out of 28 bodies of Israelis in exchange for 285 Palestinians. The militants have also transferred all 20 living hostages to the Israeli side, who have been held in Gaza since the group's attack on Israel in 2023. North Korea will act more aggressively in response to talks between Seoul and Washington. This was stated by North Korean Defense Minister Nak Wang-kul. He sharply criticized the arrival of a U.S. nuclear aircraft carrier in the South Korean port of Busan. According to Nak Wang-kul, this has heightened tensions on the Korean peninsula. Let me remind you, the day before, North Korea launched a ballistic missile from its western coast toward the sea. Japan and South Korea have stated that they are monitoring the situation. The Pentagon is using experience from the war in Ukraine to strengthen its military. In particular, the U.S. Department of Defense plans to acquire more than 1 million drones for the armed forces over the next few years. This was stated by U.S. Army Secretary Daniel Disrael. According to him, the U.S. armed forces currently receive only about 50,000 drones annually. He noted that this is not enough. He said that purchases will be significantly increased. The United States has exempted Hungary from sanctions for purchasing Russian energy resources. This was reported by Reuters, citing a White House representative. The decision was made after yesterday's meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán. The exemption from the restrictions will be in effect for 1 year. The White House representative added that Hungary also committed to purchasing liquefied natural gas from the U.S. under contracts worth about $6 million. The European Union has begun preparing its 20th package of sanctions against the Russian Federation. This issue was discussed by the Lithuanian Minister of Finance and the European Commissioner for Financial Services, according to the Lithuanian Ministry's press service.
The European Union must continue to put pressure not only on Russia, but also on Belarus, given the ongoing hybrid attacks. We are glad that at the end of October, another package of sanctions, the 19th, was agreed upon at the EU level, but it is necessary to increase further pressure, particularly on the Russian energy and financial sectors. That is why we must begin a serious discussion about the next package of sanctions.
Subscribe to UATV English and stay updated on the most important events, top news from Ukraine and all over the world, in-depth analysis, exclusive reports and interviews, all on hand in our channel. Join our community of viewers and stay tuned.